Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2024. Of course, a Black Shadow. Hopefully, you guys have had a decent enough start to the new year and what should prove to be, I think, a pretty busy and eventful year for a lot of people. Be that good, bad, or indifferent, and I do include myself with that. Just give a chance for me to kind of review the past 12 months and stuff we did in 2023, which was a curious year for me, for sure. And also a feel for what we're intending to do over the course of the next 12 months, of which there are some certain plans, some a little bit up in the air. We'll get to those as the moment goes. But as far as Black Shadow 993 has been, yeah, last year was pretty wild, all things being honest. Moved home twice. Gaming wise, came across not I didn't do that many different things, but what we did I think was definitely pretty decent on the whole. We started off the year delving into Galarian. This was a Patreon request courtesy of Agarus, I believe it was at the time. Which was quirky. If you've never seen Galarians before, I would definitely encourage at least going and check it out. But it's very PlayStation 1, we'll put it up that way. Other main things that I delved into, we did the No Donuts Challenge. This was me playing through the entirety of Outbreaks Files 1 and 2, the main stages, as Harry on his own. It was pretty successful, things considered. I actually played pretty decently. It was a good spin. It was a good journey. Sleeping Dogs, this is another Patreon request. That was a few Patreon requests this year. This was courtesy of Starfruit, I think Grand Theft Auto, but in Hong Kong. I actually really enjoyed Sleeping Dogs. It was a lot of fun. I think I had a really good time with that. But we had a couple of very big series as well. I think the biggest one to note was Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I then did the professional run as well as the Separate Ways DLC later on in the year. I still stand by everything that I said over the course of the series, and I will note that my prediction when the game came out was correct, that it would get nominated for Game of the Year, but it wouldn't win it. I still stand by what I said of the game, and that it was incredibly well put together and very enjoyable, but just didn't quite have the soul that I was looking for. Maybe my way of presenting that could have been a little better, and that's something that happens from time to time. But regardless, it was still a good spin. Other than that, the other big series we did, Troubleshooter Abandoned Children, which I started off in like May, I think it was. I only finished that up about a month or so ago. One of the largest series I've ever done on the channel, but one that brought me a lot of joy and a lot of entertainment. Even if it wasn't the most watched thing, it was almost cathartic for me at times, and one that I will miss. It is a shame being in a post-troubleshooter world. It is a kind of a sad place, you know? Other things to make mention of as well, we did finish the year incredibly strong as well, delving into Control before finally getting my hands on Alan Wake 2, which has now finished up. A game that I never thought would exist. To be honest, I went many years assuming that this game would just simply never ever be a thing. And I'm glad that I was eventually wrong. A real good journey. I have thought about Alan Wake 2. I talked a little bit about what I might look to do with the game. Once I got back from my trip to the States, which I got back a couple of days or so ago. And I have decided that I am not going to be recording a second run of Alan Wake 2. There's a few reasons for that. I, of course, really enjoyed the game, as I said. But truthfully, I'm basically be playing the game again to kind of show off stuff that you can kind of already find on YouTube. And I would largely be kind of a compilation, couple of videos of showing that stuff off. You can already find it. I don't really think that's too worth my time. And it's something I have to do manage nowadays as well. My work obviously split between this as well as hidden assets. My work I do for Dune Imperium, which all things being honest is going pretty darn well. You know, we had our second trip to North Carolina with the Uprising Invitational event, which was really fun. We got to do a lot of cool stuff. The videos we're recording, the commentaries are doing not too badly for themselves. We're getting to do bits and pieces with the designers of the game and that sort of thing. And such, it is a balance that I do admittedly have to find, but it is... I think my time on with Black Shadow Incorporated is better served on more original content, if that makes sense. I could spend 20 hours playing through Alan Wake 2 again and kind of showing off the new bits, that sort of stuff. Or I could spend 20 hours doing other projects and stuff that I've not done before, which I think would have a much better outreach for the channel, as well as probably just better for myself overall and a better use of my time. So that is one thing I will say for that. I will, as a slight confession, however, note with Alan Wake 2, that there was a miss at the end. At the very last video, it was noted in the comments section that I missed a chat with Tim Breaker. And the truth is that that conversation did actually happen. Unfortunately, there was some issues with the recording, which meant I had to do a bit of editing the last video, and in amongst doing that, I accidentally edited out the entire conversation with Tim, which wasn't ideal. And it's a shame, because that does explain some extra bits and pieces going on in the game, so sorry about that. It is what it is. But that was 2023 for the channel. We also did obviously some streams over on Twitch, some of which made it to YouTube, some didn't. The aforementioned Outbreak stuff. I did also find and finally upload the memorial series we did with Left 4 Dead. This was, though, originally recorded in 2022. On top of that, we obviously did some stuff with Hades. The Control series was done on Twitch, and there was some other loose bits and pieces done here and there as well. But not everything made it to the YouTubes. We did also do our memorial stream playing Max Payne 1 for James McCaffrey, who very sadly passed away just a few weeks or so ago. And that brings us to now, and what I actually intend to do for the next 12 months, or even the next 6 months, or just what I intend to do basically at this time. I've had a think about the content that I produce. Obviously, this channel, in its existence, has had a very heavy emphasis on horror games, survival games, that sort of thing. Obviously, lots of Resident Evil, Silent Hills, but we've done other stuff as well, delving into The Last of Us. I shouldn't forget, actually, Last of Us 2 we also played over the course of the last year. I really enjoyed that. Thanks to Shane for sponsoring both this as well as the first game. I'm very glad that I got to play through them. They were both really, really good journeys, and Last of Us 2 especially, I felt like I got. And I think part of Last of Us 2, I know it has a bit of a divisive history with the fan base, but I do think that it was not as easy a game to kind of get as it was the first one. And I feel like my summation of that kind of summed up well. But we've done other stuff as well. I've delved into other bits and pieces. Recently did like the Shadow of Destiny stuff. We've delved into lots of retro stuff, Twisted Metal, Silent Bomber. We recently did our rerun of Medieval. Did I not ever upload my Medieval rerun? I thought I did upload that. That might be in the... There's a series. There's a playlist somewhere. The short Let's Play series. I think it might be in there. It's not flagging up on this. It's totally fine. But I know I definitely did do that. But in any event, getting back onto topic of what I actually want to do. There are two things that tends to go pretty well on this channel. That's horror stuff, and that's retro stuff. We haven't done a lot of retro on the channel for quite a while. This is partially due to the fact that 2023 was a year of quite a lot of big latest releases into series that I'm playing anyways. Again, Resident Evil, Alan Wake, and Last of Us 2, obviously, was a sponsored series. I mean, apart from Galarians was like basically the only retro thing that I did of any length in the entire year, which, you know, is probably not quite enough. I wouldn't exactly call Sleeping Dogs a retro game, even though the game came out in, like, 2013 or whenever on earth it did. So I think we're going to look to make a return to playing a lot more older stuff. And if you do have, obviously, suggestions, throw them in. I know, like, someone mentioned about delving into, like, the old Sonic games, which somehow, over the course of this channel, I've never touched the Sonic series. I have no idea why. So that's where we're going to start, kids. I am going to be doing some playthroughs of the old Sonic games. I might do 1 to 3, depends kind of how fast I get to it. Might even do some Knuckles stuff. We shall see. But I think that's actually not a bad way to kind of get the train rolling. You know, just kind of fairly casual, easy for me to record, but a much loved series and one that I've yet to touch in over the course of this channel, which is probably needs correcting. Then we get to the horror stuff, and there are a couple of planned series that I'm looking to do over the course of the next few months or so. The first one I've mentioned on this channel before, but I haven't yet gotten around to enact upon it, is Signalis. This is an indie game that came out about 18 months or so ago. It has been suggested to me once or twice. It's something that I am definitely looking to delve into, so I'm going to have this up on my my wish list. And whenever this comes on sale, I'm going to get hold of this, and we'll look to get it onto the channel. I've been told it's a good spin, and there's a lot of fun to be had here, and it's kind of a theme that obviously goes very well with the channel, so we're going to definitely look to get hold of this. On top of that, we actually have a couple of reward series that have been won courtesy of the activities over on Twitch. So they will be being played over the next few months or so. Times to be confirmed exactly. Well, I'll sort it out. But the first one of which is a return to Silent Hill 3 and a melee-only run of this game. This was achieved back in, I think, like November or something along those lines. I have never attempted to play this game melee only, and I think I've got a decent shot of it. It's been a long time. I've not played Silent Hill 3 since I last touched it on the channel, which was like 2016 or something like that. It's been some time, but we will be attempting to beat this entire game melee only, vanilla. If the Silent Hill 1 and 2 runs anything to go by, it should be pretty chaotic, but it should be a good spin. This will be probably done over on Twitch and then ported to YouTube soon after that. That will then be followed up by our return to Resident Evil Outbreak. 2023 was the year where we put the game down for a little bit. We have done, obviously, a lot of Outbreak content over the course of our time with this channel, and of course I very much enjoyed it, but I felt like we could do with a little break for it, and given everything that I got myself into, it seemed that last year was probably the best one to do so. It was over the course of the Max Payne stream, which was finally redeemed, that we will be returning to Outbreak, and we'll be touching upon the Terror mod, which is effectively a re-randomization of Outbreak, using obviously the various levels that already exist, but changing up item placement, adding in new enemies, different enemies, more enemies, and making the experience fresh, but very challenging. And I will be looking to get involved in this. Not immediately. This might well be coming along, say, some point in the spring. I will give more details a little bit closer to the time. But we will be returning to Outbreak in the coming months or so, which will be... It'll be good to have a spin with. We haven't actually touched Outbreak since... It's been about a year or so since the last Ruffle Raffle we held in 2022, so it'll be good to have a good spin on this again with the Terror mod, and I'm kind of curious to see what the game will throw at us. It's kind of one of the reasons the Ruffle Raffle even exists in the first place. It was, bringing what was, good, solid staple in Outbreak, but it was my attempt and my way of kind of freshening up the experience by randomizing everything that I physically could, and this will kind of probably do the job for us. It'll be a good spin. As far as the Ruffle Raffle is concerned, I don't want to set it in stone, because sometimes you never know what happens, but it is pretty likely the Ruffle Raffle will be returning for this October season. Don't quote me on that exactly. I will confirm that further to the time, but it is planned that it had its 1 year off rotation, and it will be coming back stronger than ever in 2024. There is only one other series that I've got planned to do at this exact moment in time, and this was going to happen originally last summer, but then Troubleshooter happened, so it got postponed, and that is me playing through Final Fantasy X-2. It's a game which I haven't played for a long old time, and I have had kind of in the back pocket to do a series on, kind of on and off for a little while, and I will be looking to embark upon this some point this summer. much like I planned last time. But, unless they bring out the second Troubleshooter game in like the next 3 months, I think it'll be probably a pretty safe bet. And it's one I'm looking forward to getting swung into as well. We did Final Fantasy X quite a few years ago now. One of the fondest series that I've ever actually recorded on this channel. If you've never seen it, I would encourage, if you fancy a spin, checking it out. I put a lot of effort, a lot of time into that to do pretty much everything in the game. And Final Fantasy X itself still has, like, one of my favorite endings to a video game ever. And something that will always stick strong with me. So that is planned for some point around this summer. Again, I'll confirm details a little closer to time. One last game that I will note that I will be planning to do some point over the course of the next few months, as this is also a request from Starfruit, who actually bought me the game, and that is this game here, Death's Door. I don't know too much about this game, honestly. Maybe some of you guys have heard of it before, but he bought it to me back in 2022? I think it was end of 2022. I forget exactly. And I will eventually get hold of playing this game and completing this. This will probably be done on stream. I'm going to suggest probably over the course of the next few weeks, I'll find a spot to sit down and play this game. But if it's anything to go by the other games he's got hold of me, we did do Hades not too long ago. That was a bucket of fun. Hades 2 is due out as well for some point fairly soon. Silent Hill 2 Remaster is also meant to be out some point, I assume, towards the back end of this year as well. So it could be a pretty busy second 6 months or so. But we'll be getting into Death's Door over the next few weeks or so. I'll confirm times closer to the point. But that is about it for this update. As I say, there's some plans set in stone, and there's some plans which are very much not set in stone at all. Some of this obviously is subject to change, but that's kind of an outline of what I want to try to do over the course of this year. Try and bring back a bit of a focus on doing some more horror stuff, and also delving into some retro gaming as well, because I think, again, I go back through some of the series we've done before, like Dino Crisis, and obviously the original Medieval stuff, and that sort of thing. Hell, even like some of the old things, like playing the old Broken Swords, old DMCs, Castlevanias. The old stuff is definitely, I think, generally a lot of fun to delve into over the course of the channel, and something that I will try and bring a bigger focus into again, because we haven't done a lot of retro for a while, and it's definitely been a bit of a staple of the channel, so I will be looking to make a return for that. But other than that, that's pretty much it, kids. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.